Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player of games, runner of boards, recorder of videos, and a tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to a slightly rescheduled Thursday edition of Bye, weekly behind-the-scenes DM-only livestream Crafting the Deep, which I build, run, and prepare for our next session of Call from the Deep. If you are playing characters Gottwald, Mock, Sovereign, or Twirl, this stream is not meant for you, but the rest of you, welcome. Of course, there will be lots of spoilers. We stream our sessions live on YouTube every Friday. You can join our official Discord server with invite link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out patreon.com/RogueWatson. For our campaign, we use Roll20.net for streaming. I use OBS Studio. It's been a very, very busy week in the Watson household, and where I had to reschedule some things around. We've had a lot of work done in our backyard. The oldest has had all these dance tryout things for coming up for middle school. It's just been absolute craziness. And then tonight we've got a DM roundtable, which I'm excited about. And most likely her softball game is probably going to get canceled because it is a very cloudy, rainy day here in North Texas. Also, we saw the Weenie Mobile. That was exciting. First time I think I've seen it parked. I've seen it like on the road before, which is also just a rare. Talk about like it's like finding a shiny Pokemon or something. It's such a thrill, and really just brings everybody joy wherever it goes. So shout out to Oscar Meyer and the Weenie Mobile team for being absolute delights and actually giving my youngest, I was out with her, a weenie whistle, the goddamn bona fide weenie whistle that you only get apparently if you see the car and one of them gives it to you. So a rare drop from a rare encounter. Pretty damn exciting. But yes, this is a rescheduled Crafting the Deep, but we're going to do a normal hour length episode. So appreciate everybody moving their schedule around just so you can tune in to watch the magic take place. I think we've talked enough about the Dragon Lair. Not much to talk about there, but you can go back and watch that Monday stream episode in terms of how I'm thinking the encounter will go down, and who knows how long the actual RP scene will go. I do have a battle map for it that I've gussied up and everything, but I don't expect the players to really throw down. The dragon will actually be predisposed to helping them unless they do something like really piss them off, in which case, we can let loose with a couple attacks. I really wanted to spend the majority of this session talking about the finale of the Pirate Skyhold, which is going to end up being a little bit of a twist for the players because they probably think that the dragon will be the final, the final destination or the final stop for the adventure, and it's actually not. The dragon has information on where to find the person who actually hired his undead minions to go and target the aboleth. He was just paid for his services, so he's the kind of the head of the muscle, but the actual mastermind was a minion of the Slarkarthel, who is, as we know, the players don't know, well, the players have an inkling, is been taken over by the Mind Flayers via an Elder Brain, which is the main plot of Call from the Deep. And I am using, instead of Arbeck, who is a Deep Scion from the Call from the Deep book, who is behind all of this, although also doesn't have, they don't even actually catch him as written in the book. They just find like a journal that he leaves behind. If we go back to, because it's in Fisher's Float, stashed in Marine's Cottage is Arbeck's diary, detailing how he tricked May or someone Galt into divulging the location of the aboleth and a plan for a pirate attack headed by Bartholomew Blackdagger. Correspondence between Arbeck and Sea King Tentrix, and they discover that Tentrix is hidden in Nalathar. So I also have to decide how much I want Ned to know, but I'm replacing Arbeck with Ned and having Ned basically, while he, which if you recall, Ned was in Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, was one of the first NPCs the players were introduced to, and actually he helped show the players into the haunted house and was kind of their accompanying NPC. And then there was a big twist at the end of either the first session or the second session, somewhere around there, where Ned actually betrays the party, stabs Toril in the back, downs him, and then just kind of runs away. And haven't really found a good use to use him again, even though I always planned on it. And this one is probably the best use I can think of, which is to replace kind of a minor NPC villain with one they already know. So we're going to upgrade Ned's stat block. His original stat block was a spy, which I think is a CR1. And I was thinking, well, I want to do something cool and more, sea-themed Eldritch horror thing, transformation, which we've been teasing with like Burn and the Mind Flayers and all this. And Deep Scion, I still want to use because that's, what Arbeck originally is, and I think it fits perfectly. But the Deep Scion is only a CR3, and technically for the climactic kind of ending boss fight of a quest arc for level 6 players, Deep Scion's probably not going to cut it, right? But also too strong for a minion. So we need to kind of rework some of the stat blocks in here, which is what we were talking about partially on Monday's stream and then again on this stream. However, I am very pleased to reveal that in searching for some good stat blocks, I found one that's actually goddamn perfect. Thanks to the Dragon X team of Monster Manual Expanded. Apparently, Monster Manual Expanded 2, which for some reason I think is the only one I haven't reviewed. I think I reviewed the first one and the third one. Includes some additional Deep Scion stat blocks, including a Thug, a Warlock, and an Assassin, a Deep Scion Assassin, which is pretty much exactly what we're looking for because, again, Ned was kind of a low-level rogue, and now he can be a higher-level rogue / Deep Scion. How cool is that? I did also flirt with maybe using just the Assassin stat block, which is a very strong like CR8 stat block, but I don't know, I kind of like the angle of using the monstrous transformation thing, and really creepy in terms of how far Ned has gone into this cult, to where it's not just he's like a hired thug, it's like he is a true believer of what's going on with this organization, so much that he's been transformed and actually has a direct connection. And also that will allow me because the players want to take him alive and ask him questions during the interrogation scene, I can have the Elder Brain / Sarkothel, the Elder Brain's called Zelix 4, I think, basically fry his brain in the middle of him giving out information. So I do want them to learn some information, maybe even learn the location of where Sea King Tentrix is, because I'm not too worried about giving that early. If we look at the map there, overlay, let me move all my stuff. Oh, there's also a Deep Scion Warlock. Yeah, we can combine some of these stat blocks if we want to. If we go back to the Sword Coast map, so they're currently still in Neverwinter up here. And then the final, I found these little exclamation quest markers to put something on the map so they know. Near the swamp is going to be the final enemy location for that quest. Further south is going to be where the Styes is located, which is going to be in the island of Orlumbor, which is where I'm going to put that city. And then if you go all the way south, even south of Baldur's Gate, there's the Nalanther Isles, and that is where Sea King Tentrix's lair is, which is not on the map because I also have a map here that does not include all the hidden information locations. So I'm not too worried about that because it's so far south that it's not like they're going to make a beeline to it, right? They pretty much have to do all the other content before making it down there. It's almost like, I don't know if you all have played like the old Fallout CRPGs, but those were true, open world games, but they had a big fog of war over the map. And the way I think Fallout 1 and 2 did this, but essentially they made sure to have like the final area be far enough away to where you would end up doing a lot of other stuff. And it literally would work the way they raised the difficulty in that game was I think from like north to south, like I think you, at least in Fallout 2 is when I remember more, you start off with the easiest enemies in the north, and the further south you go, the harder enemies get. And of course, like the final areas are down in the south, but then everything else is kind of in between. Actually works out north to south here. So it helps me that I can, seed all these objects and create, maybe a pseudo open world quest chain, but also it's going to end up being fairly linear because everything is just kind of on the same path. And the one issue I'll run into later on, which we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, is how to get the players quickly from Sea King Tentrix's lair, which is all the way in the south of the map. And I scroll the way up, and then the actual finale takes place up here in the northwest, which is the Purple Rocks region west of Gunderlin. So you could argue, well, they just have to hightail it over there and do a whole bunch of more like random encounters and crazy stuff, or because you don't necessarily want them to teleport. Maybe at that point they get the airship, maybe when they go to Sea King Tentrix, because then hopefully we'll have, been through a good chunk of everything, because I can seed all of this path from north to south. It can be all their, random side ventures and nautical encounters and everything. So by the time they make it down there, we could just have them quickly, montage their sequence all the way up here for the actual finale in Purple Rock. So if I give them the location of Sea King Tentrix's lair, I'm not worried because that just puts it on the map and they're like, okay, well, that's way the hell down there. And that's still, we're going to just pass everything else and do all the other content by the time we get there, which is perfect. And what I like to do is tease the fact that like, well, here's a location, but you'll never get there. You'll never reach it because it's protected by, and then have his brain be fried. So I think that will work out nicely. In terms of the actual battle map, I'm also, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's chop off 7 from that height because that's too much street right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. Looks better. I've really, I think, am going with the just pure tavern brawl versus a chase sequence or versus anything else. We haven't really had a good old-fashioned tavern fight. I think they can be very memorable depending on what the kind of stat blocks here. I also like the idea of it being a twist again for the players where they think they may be getting the jump on Ned and walking in here with all the bravado and just kind of, and maybe they're expecting like, okay, we're going to walk in, make sure we cover all the exits, and then, you know, if he flees, then we've got him. But instead, like half this tavern is going to actually be members of the Kraken Society, or at least are allied with Ned, and they will like stand up and attack, and everybody will just have a big fight brawl right here in the tavern. The only thing I could be worried about is if the players decide, let's just do a stakeout, which means they will hang out outside, again, try to cover all the exits and just wait for Ned to leave. Because at that point, things get a little more complicated because I haven't planned on having Ned basically leave this tavern or what he goes and does, because that would also require me to come up with another battle map and plan. But maybe it's worth doing that in case the players think of that. So maybe I need to come up with some kind of like, I don't know, sewer map or something. Maybe Ned just jumps into the ocean. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I feel like that's my only worries if they try to do that. Or I can just say like, all right, well, he doesn't leave the tavern like ever. I don't know. Maybe he's got some kind of trapdoor in the tavern that he uses to go in and out of. He doesn't have to leave it very often. I don't know. So that's my only worry from that situation. Or you somehow have you know, the fight spill out into the street. But again, that's another map I have to create, as the street. By the way, this is the actual token for the Deep Scion Assassin. Unfortunately, I like the art, but the token doesn't really work. Whoever did the token made the mistake of trying to put the entire creature on the token. It means you can't really see shit unless I exploded it to like that size, and then it looks amazing. I don't know why. It's just kind of a, I don't know, people haven't been playing tokens long, but what you need to do is just crop the like top half and make it an actual portrait thing, which is what the standard is. So I think I'm going to stick with what I've made, which is a multi-sided token that allows me to shift from Ned to the original. I think it's from, I don't know if the Deep Scion's in the monster manual, if it's a Mordenkainen's, but that's the picture I'm using. But I think I will point it to the assassin stat block, and we can kind of look and see. And also, Gottwald's a tavern brawler. Good point, Demnix. This would be a fun-ass fight for him. My goodness, actual people he can punch. Yeah. So partly what I want to run by all of you is, which, by the way, again, thank you for coming to the rescheduled stream. I know it's not our usual programming time. Is try to figure out what would constitute a good, hearty, balanced, but also kind of final boss fight. I'm really hoping the players don't think or don't feel the need to long rest after everything they've been through. They're actually doing pretty well, except for Gottwald is really low on hit points, and he doesn't actually have any hit dice left. He's gotten beaten up a lot this quest arc. The rest of them are fine, and even Zavra has like plenty of spell slots. So if they just give like Gottwald a few potions of healing, I honestly think they'd be pretty good to go. Whereas if they long rest, then it just kind of trivializes a lot of battles. And I guess I'm conflicted because I know players love to have those big like 1-day encounters where they can just kick ass and not worry about resources, but this isn't what that is. This should feel like the finale, the climax of this quest arc. So I don't think that'll be the case. I think they're usually pretty good about, okay, we haven't quite finished this quest arc, let's make sure to go there. And I can maybe even press the fact where you know, the dragon's like, well, we've got dibs on where he's headed now, but there's, you know, he may not stick around in Neverwinter long or whatever. Like, you know, I would get there as quickly as possible. And just, that's a hint that the DM is giving the players too. It's like, hey, don't try to do too much. Just try to get over there. So let's actually point him to the Deep Scion Assassin, and we'll call him Ned. Leave that one blank. Go to NPC AC, and we may still even give him spellcasting abilities. I'm not necessarily going to restrict him on that. Let's see how much. Average hit points is 84. Type that in, but I will reroll until he gets above average because that's my rule for named NPCs. So let's that. Can I whisper your rolls? Always whisper your rolls for now. Will it whisper these? 80 is below average. That's no good. 88, fine. 88 miles per hour. All right, so undo that. So we'll give you an 88 hit point Ned. Feels pretty good for a boss. And no bludgeoning vulnerability, which really fucked me up last time. And then we can get rid of our assassin token. So the Deep Scion Assassin, which again, awesome art, but I wish I could. I guess I could manually just like crop this top half if I really cared. It's just that the actual token, it was a mistake. All right, Scott, thank you. References, we have them. All right, so the assassin, more hit points, very good defenses in terms of his saving throws. AC is okay. He does get sneak attack once per turn if he's got advantage or an allies within 5 feet. So we need to make sure he's got plenty of allies. For an extra 2d6 damage, you can get rid of that part because I believe if you hit that, yeah, it rolls the number for me. Deep Scion makes 2 rapier attacks, or it makes 1 bite and 2 claw attacks. Alternatively, it can make 2 ranged attacks. I find that odd that it only has its triple attack if it's not. Let's see, so hybrid is different than humanoid form. Okay, so but why do you show the picture as him clearly in hybrid form wielding weapons? He's not using his claws here. He's clearly wielding weapons, right? So why is it that's only humanoid form he's wielding a rapier? Oh, wow. And it's a poison rapier. That's interesting. Wow, the rapier and the dagger. Must succeed on DC 11 con save or take an additional 3d6 poison damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful one. Okay. And he can also throw daggers as a ranged attack. Make 2 ranged attacks. Or use the bite and claws, which are weaker all around. He does have the cool rogue dash, disengage, and hide as bonus actions. I will try to use that as best I can. And then change shape is a bonus action, which is very handy because obviously you don't want to spend a whole action just transforming. That's a real waste. But using the psychic screech is pretty awesome. Creatures within 30 feet of the Deep Scion. I need to make sure they're... I don't know. I'll probably just mention the fact that the other cultists are immune or something, right? Because it feels like stupid that he would also be able to stun like all of his minions with that psychic screech. But I love that a stun is very powerful, but specifically it's only until the next turn. So it's a temporary 1-turn stun, which is perfect. I like the way that works out. It's a little bit of a higher DC, so I probably will end up using that. And it's only once per battle. Recharge after a short or long rest. So I'm definitely a fan of this stat block to where we may not even need to add spell casting if we add other spell casting characters, which I've got so far in terms of his allies. Obviously, we can always use the bandit stat block. I guess cultist might be a slightly better one. This is the cult fanatic stat block, which I do think is a better one. And I can reflavor some of the spells. The cult fanatic only is up to 2nd level spells. I was gonna look and see what kind of themed spells. Let's see, like what the let's see, Deep Scion Warlock has Cone of Cold, Everard's Black Tentacles, Lightning Bolt, Tidal Wave, and True Seeing. Fortunately, I think those are all higher than 2nd level, aren't they? What is Everard's? If Everard's 2nd, we might... Oh, Jesus, Everard's is 4th level. Okay, yikes. So if anybody's got that, it's just going to be Ned, because I don't want to give minions 4th level spell slots. I'm pretty sure Lightning Bolt's 3rd level. What's Tidal Wave? All the good spells, yeah, are 3rd level or above. Tidal.wave. So what are, but I guess the other option is you just retheme theme some spells, right? You give them like Chromatic Orb or Shocking Grasp. What are, let's see. What kind of spells does like a Kraken Priest have? Yeah, Call Lightning, Black Tentacles, those are all 3rd level spells. Control Water is not really going to do anything. Water Breathing or Water Walk. Okay. There are not enough good, like, storm-themed spells. What kind of stuff would the Kraken Society wield? What about the water cult from Princes of the Apocalypse? Those are the crushing wave folks. Yeah, with their whole theme of the water. What do we got? Okay, they still blur and hold person. Ice knife. Guess you could reflavor that. Magic missile, shield, expeditious retreat. Sleet storms at 3rd level. Well, we'll definitely do hold person. They've already got that. Because you could flavor that as Nate. We just had the same thought. We could reflavor that as tentacles wrapping around somebody for hold person. Having somebody buff Ned would not be a bad idea, which is what blur is. That's a different. I don't think I've really done that in a fight much, where you, because usually you want to do things to the players, but that might create some interesting tactical choices if you have a minion buff a boss. Then you're like, well, we really got to take this minion down just to weaken the boss. I think Crushing Wave Priest, is that the only spellcaster? Because Reavers got the sword. It's kind of a bandit stat block, slightly beefier bandit. They have the Dark Tide Knight. What was that one? Could mount on like the shark. Has uncanny dodge and sneak attack. We could just use more of the spy stat block, actually. That would not be a bad move. One-Eyed Shiver was one that could blast. Oh yeah, like they had Ray of Frost, right? That'd be an easy one to give. Couldn't they shoot like Ray of Frost out of their eyeball? Or Eye of Frost. It restrains. I completely forgot about that. Let's see. At will, Mage Hand, Chill Touch, Fog Cloud, Mage Armor, Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave gets kind of dangerous when you use a minion, though. Lumpy's elemental monk abilities like Water Whip, yeah. A watery mirror image, yeah. Just add watery to every spell. It's a watery fear. It's a watery misty step. A water step, if you will. I mean, Thunder Wave would be pretty great. It'd be literally like just clapping your hands, like, because a lot of the Kraken stuff is like sound based, isn't it? Which is what Thunder stuff is. But on the other hand, Thunder Wave is kind of tricky for a minion to get off, because usually I've got other minions around me. But it might be worth adding. I did think about adding a spiritual weapon, just have them summon a tentacle, which is exactly what Twirl's ability is, basically. In fact, if we look at Twirl, whatever that Fathomless Tentacle of the Depths. It's literally a spiritual weapon. As a bonus action, create a 10-foot long tentacle at a point you see within 60 feet of you. The tentacle lasts for a minute. When you create the tentacle, you can make a melee spell attack against a creature within 10 feet of it. On a hit, the target takes 1d8 cold damage, and his speed is reduced by 10 feet. Whereas spiritual weapon, I think it does like force damage or something. I could just literally give them the tentacle, though. I could have them just dealing cold damage. Why does the tentacle deal cold damage? It's a very cold tentacle. You think it would do bludgeoning damage? It just chills you when it goes through your body. But yeah, you can move it and everything, so it's very similar to that. Having a built-in spiritual weapon is crazy good. The way spiritual weapon works. Create a floating spectral weapon at 60 feet for a bonus action. Target takes force damage equal to 1d8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier, which is a +1. So it'd do 1d8 plus 1, but not concentration, which is why it's an amazing spell for enemies to cast, because the players really can't do anything about that except maybe kill the one who cast it, and I'm not even sure that would cancel the spell. I would probably rule it does, but I don't know if it ever says anywhere that technically the person has to even be conscious for the spell, because it doesn't require concentration. What I should do is add this to their stat block, though. That would probably save me a lot. Headache. Maybe I should literally call it something else, though. What does Toril call it? Tentacle from the deep or something? Tentacle of the deeps. I don't know. Just call it tentacle. They're gonna want to know if they can attack the tentacle, but this is not Baldur's Gate. Spectral. It's called Spectral Tentacle, which does make an attack roll, make a melee spell attack. What is its melee? If I cast this, does it actually properly cast it? Let's see. It does. Okay. It's just a +3. That's not great. Because they only have a +1. What a terrible spellcaster. They have a +1. I might... DC 11 +3 to spell. Man, Cold Fanatic kind of sucks. For CR2, you only got a +1? You kind of suck. Scorching Ray, but water. Yeah. Water cannon. Does it just do bludgeoning damage at that point? Since water is not a damage type, you can either do cold, if it's cold, but I feel like if you're being sprayed in the face or shot in the face with high pressured water, you're not really worried about the temperature. You're worried about the force. So maybe it's force damage. But then I think bludgeoning damage is technically force damage. I don't know. I don't like they're shitty to hit. I rolled a 13, which is good, but a +3 is gonna struggle to hit anybody. But I guess I could just roll that every time I need to actually do the damage. And if you do that, will it just do damage? It sure. Oh, but now it does all spell slots expended. Okay. Max damage. So if I did it like that, it would be a 3. Range, 1 target, 1d8 +1 force damage. Which isn't good. It does need your bonus action, yeah. I guess for just the fact that they can summon this extra thing, I guess I shouldn't feel too bad. Yeah, one they aren't proficient in. It's not even their second highest stat. It's their third highest. Why don't they just use charisma as your spellcasting stat? You stupid fanatics. Your charisma is so damn high. I mean, not so damn high. It's at least a 14 versus a 13. Stupid. They're also armed with daggers. I hate this stat block. The more I look at it. It's not that much more to wield a short sword. It does an average of like 1.5 more damage around. Why do you wield stupid daggers and have stupid spells? So we'll definitely use Hold Person. We'll use Spiritual Weapon. Inflict Wounds could also be fine. I think that is necrotic damage. Their melee spell attack. Target takes 3d10 necrotic damage. That's pretty scary. Command could be used. Kind of a poor man's like fear. They could also technically use Shield of Faith on Ned as a concentration spell. I wonder if Blur is a little more exciting than Shield of Faith, though. Doesn't Blur just grant disadvantage? What does the math work out for that? Is it better to do a +2 AC or just disadvantage? I think disadvantage is a lot stronger, actually. But that's... Blur is also a second level spell. You could also reflavor Blur, I think, a little easier. The fact that it's like they're covered like water, and that's like shifting as if you're looking at something underwater. So we might get away with using Blur as our buff versus Shield of Faith. Can't wield a short sword. I mean, come on, man. It's not that much bigger than a dagger. I think he's wielding this dagger and all of a sudden this short sword. He's like, it's just like dropping it. Like, I can't even, I don't know what do I do with this? I can't with this short sword. I need my dagger. But they can make 2 melee attacks, damn it. All right, so between summoning a spectral tentacle, which is still a bonus action though, right? So you could technically... All right, so what I need to do is give them a damaging cantrip. That's what they need. Because then I won't have to fuck around with these daggers at all. This dagger nonsense. Unless they're in melee, which probably will be. They could normally do inflict wounds, but technically not if they also do spiritual weapon on that same turn. So in that case, Ray of Frost, probably the most thematic thing to give them. Either Ray of Frost or Shocking Grasp. But Shocking Grasp is not ranged. So just in case we want them to summon the tentacle and then also cast a spell, I think Ray of Frost is going to be the most appropriate thing for them to do. I'm wasting all my good rolls here. Damn it. You ever feel like that? You start like rolling hit points or testing things. You're like, no, I'm rolling really well before the session. And now karma will come back around at some point. Curses. Yeah, retheme the booming blade as a water blade. Oh yeah, Shocking Grasp hit with advantage in the water. That'd be good. So what do we think about how many creatures we should have in here? Ned obviously is a given as the boss. He's going to be an 88 hit point Deep Scion Assassin. I'm still tempting to give him Everard's Black Tentacles as an ability. We could give these guys Thunderwave also. That's only a first level spell, right? Let's go ahead and throw some Thunderwave in there just for funsies. And that will give me plenty of spells, I think. In fact, we could... Wait, why is Thunder... There we go. We could even give him, like, Healing Word and be like, what if they do a bullshit thing like even heal the boss? And the players would be like, you bastards. You hate to see it. From minions. Alright, we've given our cult fanatics all the best spells now. We added Blur, Healing Word, Thunderwave, and Ray of Frost to make them a little more thematic. It should. I think it's Shocking Grasp actually pings off of metal armor, but it absolutely should be combined with water. I really respect games like Divinity, Original Sin, and I guess Baldur's Gate does this too, obviously same developer, but that have all those like cross elemental synergies and things that affect each other and make you really care about the battlefield state and how to apply different environmental effects and then combine those effects. Are really, really fun. I'm not sure if I want a tabletop RPG to go in that direction because it can be a lot of upkeep for DMs and players to worry about, but in a video game, absolutely fantastic. How many bad guys should we have? So we've got this cult fanatic. Right now, I've got 4 in here. That's probably too many. If all 4 of them are capable of casting spells. But it's a confined space, right? It's not like the fortress thing. So like at the very least, if they bust down the doors and start combat, everybody's within like 50 feet of each other. So I'm not going to really gain any kind of ranged advantage or something. Everybody will be in melee for a good chunk of it, which is why we added things like Thunderwave. We also have the Thug stat block. This is, I don't know where this art is from, but it's from Ghost of Saltmarsh, actually. Ghost of Saltmarsh, for some reason, added slightly different art for some of the familiar ones, like Mage and Cultist. Assassin got some different ones. This one is specifically from the Styes. And the thug stat block, I was just going to replace the mace with a scimitar just to make it slightly more thematic with being a pirate. Otherwise, they all have pack tactics, which is fantastic, and pretty meaty hit points and multi-attack while having still low AC. So these are just your bruisers, minions, but I think pretty strong for their CR also. CR half and like, damn, 30 hit points and multi-attack and pack tactics. That is legit. That's, you know, they're not the sexiest, but geez, that's going to get it done. They even come equipped with a heavy crossbow, which they don't get their good strength score for, but that still gives them a ranged attack option. So many stat blocks can be horrifyingly exploited because they don't have a ranged attack, and it takes like one like levitate just to take them out. I did give them Thunderwave, yeah. Darkness is pretty thematic, but darkness I feel like would fuck me up as much as the enemies unless you played it like, oh well, of course I've got, you know, true sight or whatever to be able to magically see through it. But I feel like if you are a single monster who can exploit dark sight specifically, then darkness is fantastic. But for a lot of fights, I think it causes as much trouble for everyone, but it can certainly be memorable. I guess I also need to put like some random commoner stat block in here so I can't have people like run out of here. But maybe this place is kind of infamous for being you know, a place where normal citizens don't necessarily go, and it's a very creepy, maybe rundown tavern, you know, on the docks that's like really for just hardcore, you know, dock workers and patrons and stuff that normal people wouldn't go near. And the reason for that is probably because it's got a big Kraken Society presence, for example. Maybe you can have the bartender be like something else too. I wonder just how crazy I want to go with this big bar fight, because the players, honestly, they vastly exceeded my expectations for the entire Skyhold area, to where I think they're doing a little dive bar. Thank you. That's fantastic. But they're sitting prettier than I thought, versus the whole Neverwinter attack battle where they were very drained and I had to let them, you know, catch up on rest and give them extra spell slots and stuff just to bring them to normal. Maybe something like, in fact, Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh gave us a bunch of piratey stat blocks: the bosun, the captain, the deck wizard, and the first mate. I don't know how actually varied all of these are. Also, just a spy, which is what Ned was, would actually make a pretty good stat block. Besides the thug, it's pretty close to the thug that makes 2 melee attacks. Has cunning action, and just instead of pack tactics, it has sneak attack. So I might actually add, we could really make it interesting and add more unique stat blocks versus repeating the same one several times. Scout probably not as much because they're mostly range attack based with a longbow. Also, like the spy is close to 30 hit points. That's pretty solid. A bus is such a dopey picture. The bosun could be a bartender, maybe. Does it even say? Let's see if it says, because I think it mentioned the fact that there was a bouncer that was like a half orc in here. It's not. Shoot, where was it? This would have been the Neverwinter section. When in doubt, check the book. Beach Leviathan, because I am using this location. Let's see. My commoner. Yeah. When inevitable drunken disputes arise, they're settled by Fang, a male half-orc thug, the towering half-orc bouncer. Which I don't suppose we have a picture for that. So I could use one of these thugs. I don't have a half-orc picture, but we could just use one of the thugs as the bartender. And then that could even be our only thug, and then the others could all be the spy stat block instead of the thug stat block. What is the art here? Oh, it's like a drow. Oh, that's kind of distracting. Is there a different kind of spy? It says spy 3, so that tells me there's multiple spies in here somewhere. So the guard stat block, the noble Stat, nah, Noble's shitty. I'm not gonna use that one. Veteran's probably too strong. CR3, yeah, 60 hit points. Like, these are the kind of stat blocks that get used all the time that always need the most attention. There is just normal cultist. Dark Devotion, Scimitar. That would be probably your basic pirate more so than a bandit. What is actually the difference between a cultist and a bandit? It can't be much. Cultist does not have a range attack. Bandit has slightly more hit points. That's about it. Yeah. They both have +3 to hit, +1 damage. So the bandit's just straight up better, except the cultist has that save advantage against being charmed or frightened. But I could see us using cultist to round out as the weaker guys. This guy looks too nice to be a cult. This is from that picture of Ghost of Saltmarsh. Yeah, definitely. Ned does have cunning action built in, which is nice. He's got the deep Scion Assassin stat block, which means he's got a bonus action. He's part rogue, basically. He's got sneak attack once per turn, dealing extra 2d6 damage. And he can take the dash, disengage, or hide options. Yeah, hopefully, if they don't lock him down. I could give him spellcasting, but the only thing I might give him would be Everard's Black Tentacles. Like a once per day use of it or something, which is, I think, what the Warlock can do. That's a pretty big spell. It's a 4th level spell. If he does that one turn, though, and then he does a Psychic Screech another turn, then it's like turn 3 before he actually does all of his attacks, which his attacks are pretty solid if I allow him. I'm going to get rid of this humanoid form only bullshit. Like, your picture clearly shows him in hybrid form wielding weapons, dude. Letting it happen. Because that's fun. He's got rapiers somehow dipped in poison. Deals extra poison damage on a failed save, which I do like that they kept that down there versus up here, because I think that's easier to read on roll 20. I rolled a 2. So you see the initial damage up here, and then it says you must make a DC 11 con saving throw, taking 9 poison damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. So the poison damage is even more than the piercing damage. But it makes sense an assassin would poison the blade. Makes 2 rapier attacks, or makes 1 bite attack and 2 claw attacks if he gets disarmed for some reason or something. So I guess actually averaging out his triple attack probably is better, but if he hits with the rapier, he does way more damage because of that additional poison thing. It is the dagger versus sword. No, this is dagger versus rapier. Rapier is in a whole other class. For some stupid reason, they decided the rapier was like the only rogue weapon that was going to do D8 dice of damage, which means everybody's got to wield a damn rapier if you want to do your maximum damage while wielding a a finesse weapon. Misty Step is such a good spell. God, it's such a good spell. Yeah, just temporary thing. What I don't have is any kind of like magic items that he's got. I haven't thought about that either. If I want to let them loot something off his body. He can communicate telepathically, so doesn't need like a sending stone or anything. I guess he'd probably just have like money on him. You know what I've never really played around with is having him like pop a potion or something as a bonus action. That'd be pretty funny. You just see him cork one and grab one, and he's like, "Yep, I got potions." Maybe the bartender's got some potions behind the counter, and she's like tossing him. And then the players are like, well, fuck, there's potions under the counter. Says it's a kind of a seedy bar with different things in it. That could be pretty fun. I don't know. I don't necessarily want to go so far as to create another like table of effects, although I certainly see where that could be entertaining and thematic. Like every round you have to roll on this table for some crazy thing. But this isn't a chaotic tavern brawl that just started because everybody's drunk and crazy. This is actually instead, I can't cite a specific scene, but like the players are walking into a place where they think is maybe neutral, but then when they accost the enemy, they realize that like half the bar is actually hostile to them, and the rest of them like get out of there basically, and they realize, oh shit, this is like a base. This is this is a scene from The Great Mouse Detective for an old ass Disney movie, where they think they're going to a place, and all of a sudden it turns out it's like the lair of the bad guy, and it's very dangerous. But it's not chaotic. It's stop drinking our treasure. That's our treasure you're drinking. But it's not going to be a chaotic bar. It is a bar fight, but it should not be just mass chaos stuff happening. It's instead the enemies are actually just organized and attacking back. I'm trying to find. So I think I like using the spy. Maybe a combination of cult fanatic, spy, cultist, and thug with the enhanced cult fanatic. That's a lot of things. Although it's still up to me on how many of all these things I want to use. Should I just look up the... Because I probably don't have the art for it. Maybe I do. Let's see. So cultist. CU. Nope, I don't have art for it. So that'll take... Acquire different cultists. Delete you. And then what about spy? Did you make me a spy stat block? You did not, so we'll get rid of that one too. Huh, that one has a default token though. That's interesting. Wait, I guess I should have deleted the token. Or the, yeah, so if I actually dragged you, would you use that token? Let's see. Oh, okay. Not bad. Do a lot of them work like that? No. Okay. Maybe just that random one. Ooh, what's a swashbuckler? Oh, that's too strong. 66 hit points. You know what you could do is put Captain Callus in here. Would that be too crazy? He said he wouldn't step foot in Neverwinter though after everything has gone down, but maybe he like snuck into town to get some supplies and he's chilling out here. I wonder if I can work Callus into this somehow. Because I feel like what else is Callus going to be good for now? Like he was kind of, his shtick's already been done. I guess they could always see him later as a random encounter further south if Callus happens to go further south. But you could, they haven't seen him on land in action as a kind of tiefling captain. Although why wouldn't he be with his crew? Like why would he be by himself? Maybe he just catches the players and be like, all right, you know, bitch, where my money? Thought about that. But how's he gonna like throw his weight around without his crew also? So maybe I could use that almost as a random encounter on the way here. Is they from an alley, Callus approaches and just says, "Hey, you guys owe me money, and how's it going, and everything?" And they could just pay him off and leave him there. They could not pay him and force suddenly another battle, which I'm really not prepared for. Or even say, "Hey, here's your money, but also will you come with us? We've got a little thing going on." And it'll be like, "Okay, I can do one more job or something." Maybe that's too much. All right, can I just search for a cultist? I'm not opposed to the picture, but I feel like I almost feel like I've used that picture before. That's right, the cultist original image is the one from the dragon cult that really doesn't fit. Dark Knight Crushing Wave cultist might not be a bad one to use. That image right there. Or the Reaver. Can I get away with using the same old ass stat block? Or not stat block, just the token. How long ago did we play Prince of the Apocalypse? Like 2016? And just turn that into a cultist. Oh, these ones look good too. The Mordenkainen's cultist ones. I just care about the token. I don't care about the stat block. Let's see what this one looks like. Fortunately, every time I drag these in here, it's putting it in my journal also. You know, we could use one as a... We could use this one as the spy stat block. And this one as the... Well, it's already a cultist, isn't it? I guess we'll make sure it's a normal flavored cultist. Cultist 2. Cultist Boogaloo. Alright, so those we could use a couple of. So let's get rid of the other thugs. And then... What I want to use is a commoner stat block. So I want to have commoners that just kind of escape as soon as they can. And then let's grab, you could actually be the spy. Spy 3. And then, so what's your actual hit points? It's going to be 27, because that spy's right there. I think we're going to have a good mix of stat blocks then. I think a spy has 2 different token art and picture art, and then I'm using a different token art. Which is what Ned was. So what is a well-balanced fight for this? Maybe we take out one of our cult fanatics. We have 3 spellcasters. What the hell was this guy again? Oh yeah, that was the spy. Let's get rid of you. Okay, so we've got 3 cult fanatics, which are CR2 spellcasters with more spells. We've got Ned, a Deep Scion assassin. We've got the bartender, tavern proprietor, which is a thug. And then we're going to fill out a few more, which already we've got a pretty good amount of stuff. But then I want to fill out a few more cultists and spies. Maybe we'll do like 2. This is going to be a big room of bad guys. Do like 2 spies. And then maybe 3 cultists. What does that look like? You guys can't see because my overlay's covering it. So that would be total 1 Deep Scion Assassin. What is the CR on that thing? CR 6. So right there, supposedly it's a boss fight for the players, but we've got a bunch of minions that can be pretty strong. 3 cult fanatics, CR2s with extra spells. They've got hold person, they've got blur, they've got spiritual weapon. They've got a lot of cool spells, but their stats are kind of low. It's only a DC 11, a +3 to hit with spell attacks. I know, that's actually what I'm remembering a lot of, Lumpy. And I remember that being a very intense fight. In fact, the players were probably close to this level, and it was a room full of bad things. I remember that was I think it was the Gladiator stat block, which is one that, like, you know, doesn't look any different from all the other just human-ass looking monsters out there. But this guy is a party killer. Yeah, CR 5 with triple attack, +7 to hit, 2d6 +4 damage, plus can parry as a reaction, and has monster saves. This thing, maybe it wasn't the Gladiator, but this thing and it has over 100 hit points. Nuts. Not going to plan on using anything there. Yeah, absolutely badass. Absolutely badass. But we've got the assassin is going to take the place of any boss fight we've got. And then I'm trying to fill out some minions. But I'm trying to make it more interesting by not just having basically a room full of like cultist stat blocks. So instead we've got multiple, I think there's 4 here. Deep Scion Assassin, Cult Fanatic, Thug, Cultist, and Spy. That's 5 different stat blocks here. Mostly just using creatures that are in the monster manual, but maybe slightly, with slightly different rethemed spells from the Cult Fanatic. And then the big special one, again, is going to be the Deep Scion Assassin, which when he transforms, we've already made the multi-sided tokens. We can make that real cool. That's, of course, according to plan. And plans rarely survive first contact, unfortunately. The commoner's still the chick in the robes. Yeah. It's a fine commoner. I guess I need at least 2 more. I wish it didn't look like... She just looks like she's some sort of important person. Like, somebody in a black robe can't be a commoner. I want somebody wearing, like, farming clothes or something, you know, dock worker outfit. Something. What's somebody who's got a very... just plain-ass looking tokens. Scouts, definitely not it. I think nobles also too much. I could just look in... Was there another map I used commoners for? Oh yeah, it was the Waterdeep attack. Or not Waterdeep, God. What city were we in? Neverwinter. Neverwinter Docks had to have a bunch. There we go. We'll reuse these ones. So I did use that one. God, where were the rest of them? You. I think I actually did use this as a guard. You, I guess, were my 4. I think which ones I used. Okay, so let's drag you 4 onto here, and we can fill out the tower in a little bit with some randos. To repeat the tokens a few times. All right. So it's actually mostly people are going to be in the Kraken Society, unbeknownst to the players. Yeah, I think we did use one of the water cultists from this one right here. Is that the priest we're using as a spy stat block here because it does look a little more thematic. I don't plan on showing the players this map until probably the fight actually breaks out. And again, the only problem I could foresee is that the players decide to just do a stakeout and be like, all right, well, we're not going in there. Instead, we'll wait till they come out. In which case, I don't have a good plan for that. I'll have to come up with something, but it may be that I have to come up with a whole nother map just in case, or figure it out. Hi, what'd you find?
Butterflies.
Butterflies. Those are butterfly hair clips, I think. Oops, sorry. Where did you find these?
I don't know.
Do you want to put them in your hair?
Yeah.
There.
Do you want one?
Looking good.
Do you want one?
Yeah. All right. I think it's time for this stream to get wrapped up. Speaking of child aggro, but I think this time otherwise worked out pretty well for me. I'm looking forward to it though. Our goal Friday is to wrap up this quest arc no matter what. So whatever complications the players throw at me, I will have to be in service of really finishing things up because we are looking at taking next week off of doing D&D. It's spring break. We've got vacations and stuff going on. So it would obviously be very helpful if I could finish this whole quest arc, take a week off, and then the week after that, we do a big level up and begin our next quest arc in Call from the Deep. All right, that is going to do it for this session of Crafting the Deep. If you enjoy the content, as always, please check out patreon.com/Rogue Watson. Shouts to Platinum patrons: Joe, Will, Thomas, Stan, Brennan, Xenocider, Eclectic, Roleplay Roll, Christopher Corey, Big Nut, John F, John L, Eric, Tyler, Nathan, Cap Crystal Lake Counselor, Andrew, Daryl, the Reldron, Captain Woody 79, Stephanie, Andy, Patrick, Jason, Ismail, Amit, Lumpy Spuds, Joy, and Koi, and Sharni. And gold patrons: RPG, Papercrafts, Pretty Boy, and Yuma, Dead Lizard, Lounge, Sam, Drome, Nathan, Faz Like a Tortoise, Scott, Rufus, Karen, Jerry, Thomas, Glenn, and Marcus. Thank you all very much for your support. If you are a patron, I look forward to seeing you tonight for the DM Roundtable. Otherwise, I will see everybody tomorrow for D&D.